The human was supposed to scream. That was the whole point, really. Commander Grix has specifically requested a fresh specimen for interrogation. Something soft and pink and absolutely terrified. The Terran expansion fleet had been giving us headaches for cycles now, and intelligence demanded answers. So when our patrol corvette managed to snag this particular human from a damaged transport near the Proxima Belt, well, let us just say expectations were running high. Begin with the neural probes, Grix had ordered, his 4 eyes gleaming with anticipation. I want to know everything about their fleet movements, weapon specifications, and defensive capabilities. Simple enough, right? Humans were supposed to be fragile, weak. Their own data files called them squishy meatbags, who cried when you looked at them wrong. This should have been easy. But Maya Torres was not screaming. She was humming. I adjusted my grip on the neural probe, a sleek device designed to cause maximum psychological distress while extracting information. The metal tip gleamed under the harsh lighting of Detention Cell 7, and I could see my reflection distorted in its surface. Maya sat strapped to the interrogation chair, her dark hair falling across her face, completely relaxed. Too relaxed. Listen, human, I said, trying to inject some menace into my voice. This device can access your nervous system directly. The pain will be considerable. Maya tilted her head and smiled. Actually smiled. Oh, that sounds fun. Will it tickle? The probe slipped from my grip and clattered to the floor. Officer Blaine, my interrogation partner, stepped forward. His species, the Korthak, were known for their intimidating presence. Standing nearly 8 feet tall with razor-sharp claws and a face that looked like someone had taken a nightmare and given it teeth. Blaine usually had prisoners begging for mercy before he even spoke. Perhaps you do not understand your situation, human, Blaine growled, his voice like grinding stone. You are now property of the Galactic Trade Consortium. Your vessel was destroyed. Your crew is dead. You have no hope of rescue. Maya examined her fingernails with the casual interest of someone waiting for a delayed shuttle. That is a problem. My friends get really cranky when people blow up their stuff. Your friends are space debris, I snapped, retrieving the neural probe. Now we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Tell us about your fleet positions, and perhaps your death will be quick. Death? Maya laughed, a sound that somehow made the temperature in the room drop several degrees. Oh, sweetie, that is adorable. You think I can die? The probe was halfway to her temple when she said it, and something in her tone made me pause. There was no fear in her voice. No bravado either. Just amusement. Everyone can die, human, Blaine said, but his voice carried less certainty than before. Can they? Maya asked, turning those unsettling brown eyes toward him. That is fascinating. You should write a paper about it. I pressed the probe against her skull and activated it. The neural disruptor was designed to target the pain centers of most organic brains, creating sensations so intense that even hardened soldiers would break within minutes. The energy readings spiked on my console, indicating full activation. Maya yawned. Is it on? She asked. I cannot feel anything. Impossible. I checked the readings again. The device was functioning perfectly, delivering enough neural stimulation to incapacitate a Titan bear. But Maya just sat there, looking mildly bored. Perhaps your equipment is malfunctioning, she suggested helpfully. I know a great repair shop on Luna Station if you are interested. Blaine snatched a different device from the equipment rack, something considerably more primitive. A simple electromagnetic whip designed to cause tissue damage and extreme pain. Let us try a more direct approach. The whip crackled with energy as he raised it above his head. Maya watched with the kind of polite attention one might give to a street performance. This is your last chance, human, Blaine snarled. Tell us what we want to know. Or what? Maya asked. You will hit me with your sparkly stick? Oh no, whatever shall I do? The whip came down across her shoulder with enough force to split armor plating. And that was when things got weird. The fabric of her uniform tore, revealing pale skin beneath. But instead of the expected blood, something else began to seep from the wound. Something that glowed with a faint blue light and smelled like fuel. What the hell, I muttered, staring at the luminescent fluid dripping onto the floor. Maya looked down at her shoulder with mild interest. Ah, that is going to leave a mark. Blaine raised the whip again, confusion evident on his craggy features. What are you? Right now. Annoyed, Maya replied. You just ruined my favorite shirt. The second strike opened a deeper gash across her chest. More of the blue fluid flowed out, and now I could definitely identify the smell. High-grade propellant, the kind used in military-spec thruster systems. This is not possible, I said, backing away from the chair. Humans do not bleed jet fuel. Most do not, Maya agreed. I am what you might call a special case. Commander Grix burst into the detention cell, his four eyes wide with alarm. What is happening in here? The atmospheric sensors are detecting chemical contamination. Sir, I stammered, pointing at Maya with a trembling claw. The human, she is not bleeding blood. Grix looked at the growing puddle of blue fluid spreading across the floor, then at Maya, who was examining the tear in her uniform with obvious disappointment. Explain, he demanded. Maya shrugged, wincing slightly as the movement caused more fuel to leak from her wounds. Well, when a mommy cyborg and a daddy starship love each other very much, you are a cybernetic construct. Grix interrupted. Partially, Maya said. Though I prefer the term enhanced. It sounds less clinical. Blaine was still holding the electromagnetic whip, but his grip had gone slack. How much of you is machine? Enough, Maya replied cryptically. The important bits anyway. I was studying the readings on my scanner, and what I saw made my blood run cold. Commander, her internal energy signature is massive. This is not standard augmentation. This is something else entirely. Define something else, Grix ordered. I am detecting a fusion reactor where her heart should be, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, and what appears to be a quantum processing matrix integrated with her brain tissue. Maya grinned, showing perfectly human teeth that somehow looked far more threatening than Blaine's fangs. Oh, you have good scanners. Most people miss the quantum bits. This is impossible, Grix muttered. Human technology is not advanced enough for this level of integration. Human technology? Maya laughed again. That same chilling sound. Oh, honey, you have been reading outdated intelligence reports. The lights in the detention cell flickered. What was that? Blaine demanded. Maya tilted her head as if listening to something the rest of us could not hear. That would be my friends. Right on schedule. Impossible, Grix snapped. Our sensors show no approaching vessels. Your sensors show what I want them to show, Maya said pleasantly. I have been broadcasting false readings since you brought me aboard. Did you really think I came here by accident? The pieces were falling into place now, and I did not like the picture they were forming. Commander, if she has been manipulating our sensor arrays, then this entire capture could be a setup, Grix finished, his voice grim. Maya nodded approvingly. Very good. You are smarter than you look. Another flicker of the lights, longer this time. Emergency klaxons began wailing in the distance. What do you want? Grix demanded. Want? Maya considered this. Right now, I want my shirt back. But more generally, I want you to stop raiding human shipping lanes. It is very rude. We are acting within our territorial rights, Grix protested. Your territorial rights ended the moment you attacked civilians, Maya replied, her voice losing its playful tone. We tried diplomacy. We tried economic sanctions. We even tried being nice about it. But you kept pushing. The deck beneath our feet vibrated with a low, ominous hum. So now, Maya continued, we push back. Blaine dropped the whip and reached for his sidearm. But Maya was faster. One moment she was strapped to the interrogation chair. The next she was standing behind him with her hand on his shoulder. I had not even seen her move. I would not do that if I were you, she said softly. My reflexes are a bit enhanced. How did you? Blaine started to ask, then stopped as he noticed something impossible. The restraints were still in place, still locked, but Maya was no longer in them. Molecular displacement, Maya explained helpfully. Another one of those upgrades I mentioned. The ship shuddered violently, and I heard the distinctive whine of weapons systems powering up, but not our weapons. These were coming from outside. Commander, the intercom crackled to life. We have multiple contacts materializing around the ship. They are demanding our immediate surrender." Grix glared at Maya. "How many ships?" "Oh, it is not ships plural," Maya said, that terrible smile returning. "It is just one ship, but it is a really big one." Through the small viewport in the detention cell, I caught a glimpse of something that made my legs go weak. A vessel so massive it blotted out the stars, its hull gleaming with the kind of advanced armor that my species could only dream of building. "That is a dreadnought," I whispered. "That is the UES Retribution," Maya corrected. "And she is very upset with you." The intercom crackled again. "Commander, the contact is hailing us. Audio only." "Put it through," Grix ordered, though his voice had lost most of its authority. The speaker filled with a voice like rolling thunder. "This is Captain Rebecca Stone of the United Earthship Retribution. You are holding one of my officers. Return her immediately or face the consequences." Maya beamed like a proud parent. I love it when Becky gets all dramatic. "One officer?" Grix sputtered. "You brought a dreadnought to retrieve one person?" "Maya is not just any person," Captain Stone replied. "She is my chief engineer and my daughter." That explained a lot, and nothing at all. "Daughter?" I squeaked. "Adoptive," Maya clarified. "But Becky gets very protective." The ship shook again, more violently this time. "That was a warning shot," Captain Stone announced. "The next one will not be." Grix looked around the detention cell, taking in the puddle of jet fuel, the discarded torture devices, and Maya standing there looking completely unharmed despite the gaping wounds in her uniform. "What are you?" he asked again. Maya's expression grew serious for the first time since we had brought her aboard. "I am what happens when you push humanity too far. I am what they build when they get tired of playing nice. I am the thing that goes bump in the night, and the reason smart people do not pick fights with species they do not understand." The lights went out completely, plunging us into darkness. Emergency lighting kicked in a moment later, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. "But most importantly," Maya continued, her voice now carrying a harmonic quality that seemed to resonate through the ship's hull, "I am the person who is going to make sure you never threaten human civilians again." I realized with growing horror that the harmonic quality was not coming from her voice. It was coming from her. The fusion reactor in her chest was spinning up, and the quantum matrix in her brain was interfacing with the ship's systems. "Stop her!" Grix shouted. But it was too late. Maya raised one hand, and every piece of electronic equipment in the detention cell sparked and died. The door locks disengaged with a soft click. "Gentlemen," she said, stepping toward the exit. "It has been educational, but I really should be getting back to work. My ship needs—" "You cannot just leave," Blaine protested. Maya paused in the doorway and looked back at us with something that might have been pity. "Watch me." She walked out, leaving us standing in a darkened cell with the smell of jet fuel and the growing certainty that we had made a terrible, terrible mistake. Through the viewport, the Retribution's weapons arrays were beginning to glow with charging energy. "Commander," I said quietly, "I think we should surrender." But Grix was not listening. He was staring at the puddle of blue fluid on the floor, watching it slowly evaporate into the ship's recycling system. "Sir?" I prompted. "Do you know what this means?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "That we are about to be blown to atoms by a human dreadnought." "No," Grix said, his four eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. "It means they are not just building starships anymore. They are building people who are starships." The implications of that statement hung in the air like a death sentence. Somewhere in the corridors beyond, Maya Torres was making her way back to her people. And with every step she took, the future of the galaxy was changing. Because if humans could build one Maya Torres, they could build 1,000. And that thought was far more terrifying than any dreadnought. The intercom crackled one final time. "All hands abandon ship. This vessel is no longer under our control." I looked at Commander Grix, then at Blaine, then at the empty restraints that had once held what we thought was just another human prisoner. "Next time," I said, heading for the emergency pod bays, "maybe we should try sending a diplomatic note first." Behind us, the lights came back on. But somehow that just made everything seem darker. The evacuation pods were launching like panicked insects fleeing a dying hive. I pressed my face against the small porthole of Emergency Pod 17, watching our ship, the GTC Harvester, slowly rotate beneath us. What I saw made my stomach drop into my boots. The vessel was not just losing power, it was transforming. Hull plates were retracting, revealing glowing conduits underneath. Weapon turrets were folding inward like flowers closing for the night. The entire superstructure was reshaping itself into something that looked less like a warship and more like a work of art. "How is she doing that?" Officer Blaine asked from the seat beside me. His massive frame barely fit in the pod's cramped interior. "I have no idea," I admitted, unable to look away from the spectacle below. She walked out of a detention cell and somehow took control of our entire ship. Through the comm system, we could hear panicked reports from other pods. Engineering teams abandoning their posts. Security forces unable to access sealed compartments. Bridge officers locked out of their own command systems. Maya Torres had not just escaped, she had conquered. Pod 17. "This is Commander Grix," came the familiar voice over our communicator. "Report your status." I activated the transmitter. "We are clear of the ship, sir. What are your orders?" There was a long pause before Grix responded. "Maintain safe distance and observe. Command wants a full report on whatever the hell that thing is doing to our vessel." That thing, as if Maya Torres was some kind of natural disaster rather than a person. Though honestly, after what I had witnessed in the detention cell, the distinction was becoming increasingly blurred. "Sir," Blaine interjected, "should we not request backup from the fleet?" Another pause. Then Grix's voice, heavy with resignation. "The fleet is gone, Officer Blaine." "Gone?" I nearly shouted into the comm. "What do you mean gone?" "I mean they are no longer responding to hails. Sensors show all 17 ships in our patrol group are now broadcasting human identification codes." The implications hit me like a meteor to the face. "She did not just take our ship, she took all of them," apparently Grix confirmed grimly. "And she did it simultaneously, from a locked detention cell." I stared out the porthole again, watching our former command vessel complete its transformation. The hull now gleamed with the same blue light that had leaked from Maya's wounds. Energy patterns danced across its surface like living things. "How?" Blaine whispered. That was when the Retribution moved. The human dreadnought had been holding position at what we thought was a safe distance, roughly 50,000 kilometers away. But distance, it turned out, was a relative concept when dealing with human technology. One moment the massive ship was a distant speck against the stars. The next, it was right there, close enough to count the individual weapon batteries adorning its hull. No engines fired. No thrust signatures registered on our sensors. It simply relocated itself across space as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions. "Dear gods," someone whispered over the comm channel. The Retribution's hull opened like a blooming flower, revealing a docking bay large enough to swallow our entire ship. And that was exactly what happened. Streams of energy reached out from the dreadnought, gently guiding the transformed harvester into its belly. "They are treating our warship like a lost pet," Blaine observed with something approaching awe. Through the docking bay's atmospheric barriers, I could see figures moving. Human figures, but not like any humans I had seen in the intelligence reports. These moved with the fluid grace of dancers, their actions perfectly coordinated despite having no visible communication devices. Pod 17 came a new voice over our comm system. This one was different. Warmer. Definitely human, but carrying an undertone that made my scales itch. "This is Maya Torres. Please respond." I looked at Blaine, who shrugged with all four of his massive shoulders. I activated the transmitter. "This is Officer Krill of the Galactic Trade Consortium. We hear you." "Hi, Krill." Maya's voice was cheerful, as if we were old friends meeting for lunch rather than representatives of opposing military forces. "I wanted to apologize for the mess back there. Things got a little out of hand." "You took control of our entire patrol fleet," I managed to say. "I borrowed them," Maya corrected. "There is a difference. I promise they will be returned in better condition than I found them." "Better condition?" "Oh yes. I upgraded their power systems, improved their navigation computers, and fixed about 17 critical design flaws that would have caused catastrophic failures within the next few cycles. You really should have words with your engineers about proper shielding protocols. Lane was making frantic hand gestures, pointing at something outside our porthole. I followed his gaze and nearly choked on my own tongue. The human dreadnought was growing. New sections were materializing along its hull, assembling themselves from what appeared to be raw energy. The ship was not just large anymore, it was becoming massive. Continental. The kind of size that planets envy. I said, my voice cracking slightly. What is your ship doing? Oh, Becky is just making room, Maya replied casually. We have a lot of guests coming, and she wants everyone to be comfortable. Guests? Your evacuation pods, silly. Did you really think we were going to leave you floating out here? Space is cold and inhospitable. Also, you are running low on life support. I checked our pod's status display and realized she was right. We had maybe 6 hours of air left. In all the excitement, none of us had considered the long-term survival situation. You are rescuing us? Lane asked, disbelief evident in his voice. Of course. Maya sounded genuinely surprised by the question. Just because we had a little disagreement does not mean I want you to suffocate in space. That would be rude. The Retribution's growth continued, and now I could see its internal structure through transparent sections of the hull. It was not just a ship anymore. It was a city, a habitat. Gardens and parks stretched between towering spires of gleaming metal. Waterways flowed through impossible spaces, defying gravity and common sense. How is this possible? I whispered. Engineering, Maya replied, apparently having overheard me despite my whispered tone. Really good engineering. Our pod shuddered as some kind of tractor beam locked onto us. Through the porthole I could see similar beams capturing the other evacuation pods scattered throughout the area. Maya, Commander Grix's voice cut through the comm chatter. I demand to speak with your commanding officer. That would be Captain Stone, Maya said. But she is busy right now. Ship upgrades always make her grumpy, and she gets very focused when she is grumpy. I am sure she will want to chat once we get everyone settled. Settled? Grix sputtered. We are prisoners of war. Prisoners? Maya laughed. That same unsettling sound from the detention cell. Oh, Commander, you really do not understand the situation, do you? Enlighten me. You are not prisoners, you are refugees. The pod bay doors of the Retribution opened before us, revealing a space that defied everything I thought I knew about Starship design. The walls curved in impossible directions, covered with what looked like living metal that pulsed with soft blue light. The atmosphere shimmered with energy patterns that made my eyes water. But it was the people waiting for us that truly shattered my preconceptions about humanity. They stood in perfectly straight lines, maybe 50 of them, all wearing identical uniforms that seemed to shift color depending on the viewing angle. But their faces were wrong. Too symmetrical, too perfect, and their eyes held the same harmonic quality I had heard in Maya's voice. Welcome aboard the UES Retribution, they said in perfect unison. Please proceed to Processing Bay 7 for medical evaluation and orientation. They are all like her, Lane breathed. As our pod settled onto the deck with barely a whisper of sound, I realized he was right. Every single human in the bay moved with the same fluid grace as Maya. They spoke in harmony without apparent coordination. And when they turned to look at us, their eyes held the same unsettling intelligence. Not exactly like me, Maya's voice came from behind us, and I spun around to find her standing in the pod's doorway. But family, yes. She looked different now. The torn uniform had been replaced with something that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. The wounds on her shoulder and chest were gone, leaving only faint lines that glowed with the same blue radiance as the ship around us. How many of you are there? I asked. Maya tilted her head, considering the question. Define you. Do you mean individual consciousness units? Distributed processing nodes? Autonomous decision matrices? I mean people, I said desperately. Individual people. Oh. Maya smiled. All of us. And none of us. It depends on how you look at it. We were escorted through corridors that seemed to reshape themselves as we walked. The walls flowed like water, creating new passages and chambers as needed. Gardens bloomed from nothing, filled with plants I had never seen before. Fountains appeared, their waters singing with harmonious tones. "This is not a ship," Blaine observed. "This is something else entirely." "It is whatever it needs to be," replied one of our escorts, a woman with silver hair and eyes like starfire. "Today it is a rescue vessel. Tomorrow it might be a diplomatic station. Next week perhaps a mobile research facility." "And next month?" I asked. The woman's smile was not entirely comforting. "Next month, if certain parties continue to threaten human civilians, it might be something considerably less pleasant." We were brought to what the humans called Processing Bay 7, though it looked more like a luxury resort than any processing facility I had ever seen. Comfortable seating areas surrounded central pools of crystal clear water. Soft music played from hidden speakers. The air smelled of flowers and ozone. Commander Grix was already there, along with most of our senior staff. They all wore the same expression of shell-shocked bewilderment that I was feeling. Officer Krill," Grix said as I approached. "Perhaps you can explain what these humans want from us." "I think," I said slowly, "they want us to not die." "That seems overly generous for a military engagement." A new voice cut through our conversation. "Military engagement?" We turned to see a woman approaching, and if the other humans had been unsettling, this one was downright terrifying. Not because she looked dangerous, quite the opposite. She appeared to be in her 50s, with graying hair and laugh lines around her eyes. She wore a simple uniform with captain's insignia and moved with the easy confidence of someone accustomed to command. But her presence filled the room like a physical force. When she looked at you, it felt like being examined by a natural disaster with a PhD in tactical analysis. "I am Captain Rebecca Stone," she said, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had never needed to raise it to be heard. "And you are?" "Commander Grix, Galactic Trade Consortium Fleet." Grix replied, attempting to maintain some dignity despite our circumstances. "Commander." Captain Stone nodded politely. "I understand you were interrogating my daughter." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. "Your daughter attacked our patrol route," Grix said defensively. "We were acting within our authority to question suspicious vessels." "Suspicious vessels?" Captain Stone's eyebrows rose slightly. "Commander, Maya was traveling in a clearly marked civilian transport carrying medical supplies to the Kepler colony. The only thing suspicious about it was your decision to attack it. Our intelligence indicated." "Your intelligence," Captain Stone interrupted gently, "was provided by parties who have been lying to you for quite some time." She gestured to one of the walls, which suddenly became transparent, revealing the space beyond. There, floating in the Retribution's protective embrace, was our entire patrol fleet. But they were not alone. Hundreds of other ships filled the view. Ships of every design and configuration imaginable. Some I recognized as consortium vessels. Others belonged to species I had never seen before. All of them were broadcasting the same human identification codes. "What am I looking at?" Grix asked quietly. "The refugee fleet," Captain Stone replied. "Ships and crews from 17 different species, all of whom were told that humanity was a threat to galactic stability. All of whom discovered, upon actually meeting us, that the truth was somewhat different." "This is impossible," I protested. "Humans have been in space for less than a century. You cannot have built an alliance this large in such a short time." Captain Stone smiled, and it was not entirely pleasant. "Officer Krill, you are operating under several false assumptions. First, that we have been in space for less than a century. Second, that we are building an alliance. And third, that we are entirely human." The implications of that last statement hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. "What do you mean, not entirely human?" Blaine asked. Maya appeared beside her adoptive mother, moving with that same impossible fluidity. "Remember what I said about enhanced individuals. We are not the first species to achieve technological transcendence, but we might be the first to do it right." "Transcendence?" Grix repeated. "The merger of organic consciousness with artificial intelligence," Captain Stone explained. "Most species attempt it through cybernetic implants or neural interfaces, crude methods that typically result in madness or death. We took a different approach, Maya continued. Instead of forcing biology to accommodate technology, we convinced technology to accommodate biology. The result is something that is neither purely organic nor purely artificial, but something new, something better, added the silver-haired woman who had escorted us. Something that can build ships that reshape themselves, said another voice. Something that can coordinate across vast distances without delay, came a third. Something that can see the connections between all living things, finished a fourth. I realized that the entire room had filled with humans while we were talking. They stood in perfect formation, speaking in harmony, their eyes all focused on us with the same unsettling intelligence. You are a hive mind, Grix breathed. We are a symphony, Maya corrected. Individual voices, singing in harmony. Each note distinct, but part of a greater composition. And what do you want from us? I asked. Captain Stone's expression softened. The same thing we want from everyone we encounter, Officer Krill. We want you to be safe. We want you to be free. And we want you to have the chance to choose your own path forward. Choose? You can return to the consortium, she explained. Resume your patrols, file your reports. Pretend this encounter never happened. They will probably reassign you to some quiet sector where the chances of meeting humans again are minimal. Or are? Grix prompted. Or you can stay, Maya said. Learn what we have learned. See what we have seen. Become part of something larger than any single species or government. You are asking us to betray our own people. I am asking you to save them, Captain Stone replied. The consortium is not your friend, Commander. They have been using you as expendable assets in a war you do not even understand. The same parties that told you humans were dangerous are the ones who have been orchestrating conflicts across the galaxy for millennia. That is a significant accusation, Grix said carefully. It is, Captain Stone agreed. And we can prove it. The walls around us came alive with data. Star charts showing patrol routes that made no strategic sense. Communications logs revealing orders that contradicted official policies. Financial records tracking weapons sales to both sides of active conflicts. The hegemony, I whispered, recognizing some of the code signatures. Very good, Captain Stone nodded. The puppet masters behind the consortium, the Dominion, the Trade Federation, and a dozen other so-called independent governments. They have been playing all of us against each other for centuries, profiting from the chaos while remaining safely in the shadows. But humans were supposed to be primitive, Blaine protested. How could you discover all this? Maya's laugh was genuinely amused this time. Oh, sweetie, we have known about the hegemony since before we left our home system. We just spent the last few decades gathering evidence. Decades? Human intelligence operations have been infiltrating galactic society for over 50 years, Captain Stone explained. Not through spies or agents, but through refugees. People like Maya who could pass for enhanced individuals from other species. They integrated into your societies, learned your languages, studied your technologies, and reported back to Earth? I concluded. And reported back to the fleet, Captain Stone corrected. Earth is just one world among many now. Humanity is no longer bound by the limitations of planetary thinking. The room fell silent as we processed this revelation. Everything we thought we knew about humanity was wrong. They were not newcomers to the galactic stage. They were players who had been moving pieces for decades, preparing for a game none of us had realized was being played. What happens now? Grix asked finally. Captain Stone smiled, and this time it was warm and genuine. Now, Commander, you get to decide who you really want to be. Do you want to continue being pawns in someone else's war, or do you want to help us build something better? And if we choose to leave, then you leave, Maya said simply. We will repair your ships, resupply your crews, and send you on your way with full medical treatment and enough provisions to reach any destination you choose. No strings attached. No strings attached. I looked around the room at my fellow officers. Grix was staring at the data displays, with the expression of someone whose entire worldview was crumbling. Blaine was examining his hands as if seeing them for the first time. The others wore similar expressions of confusion and dawning understanding. I have a question, I said finally. Ask, Captain Stone encouraged. If you are so powerful, if you have this fleet and these capabilities, why not just conquer the consortium? Why go through all this elaborate deception? Maya and Captain Stone exchanged a look, and for a moment I caught a glimpse of something vast and ancient passing between them. Because conquest is what the hegemony does, Captain Stone replied. They rule through fear and force, keeping everyone divided and fighting each other. We are trying to do something different. We are trying to show people that there is another way, Maya added. That cooperation is stronger than competition. That diversity is more valuable than uniformity. That freedom is worth more than security. Even if it takes longer, the silver-haired woman said. Even if it is harder, added another voice. Even if some people choose to reject what we offer, finished a third. I understood now. This was not an invasion or a conquest. It was an invitation, a demonstration of possibility. They were not trying to force us to join them. They were trying to show us what we could become if we chose to. The galaxy is changing, Officer Krill, Captain Stone said gently. The old systems are failing. The old hatreds are being exposed as manufactured conflicts designed to keep us all weak and divided. You can be part of building something new, or you can return to the old ways. But the choice, Maya emphasized, is yours. Outside the transparent walls, I could see crews from dozens of different species working together on the captured ships. Not as prisoners or slaves, but as partners. They moved with purpose and coordination, their differences becoming strengths rather than sources of conflict. Commander, I said to Grix, what are your orders? Grix was quiet for a long moment, studying the data displays and the scene beyond the walls. When he finally spoke, his voice was thoughtful. Officer Krill, I think our orders just changed. He turned to Captain Stone with something approaching respect in his 4 eyes. Captain, I believe we would like to hear more about this symphony of yours. Maya's smile could have powered a small planet. Welcome to the real war, she said. The war for the future of everything. And as the Retribution began its next phase of expansion, growing to accommodate its newest members, I realized that the future was going to be far more interesting than any of us had imagined. The galaxy would never be the same. And that, I thought as I watched humans and aliens working side by side, was exactly the point.